Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about AI, but probably not in the way you're expecting. We're going to dive into a hilarious, heartfelt animated movie to see what it can teach us about this really complex topic. Because it turns out the stories we watch on screen, they have a huge impact on how we all think about technology in the real world. So let's start with a quick question just to kind of get our heads in the game. Think about it. Where did you first really encounter the idea of artificial intelligence? I'm willing to bet that for most of us, it wasn't from some super technical article or a science class. Nope. It was probably in a story, right? For so many of us, movies, TV shows, books, that's where we got our first dose of AI. And those stories, they really stick with you. They shape our hopes, our fears, and our expectations about this tech, way before we ever started, actually using it in our day-to-day lives. Okay, so let's dig into that a little deeper. How exactly do these stories on screen end up shaping how we feel about technology in our actual lives? Because believe me, their influence is way bigger than you might think. And if you start paying attention, you'll see these same themes pop up everywhere. Movies about AI, they're not just about robots. They're tapping into some really fundamental human stuff. That deep-seated fear of being replaced. Or the flip side, this hope that maybe, just maybe, technology could save us. And then there's that fascination with the unknown, with something that could get smarter than us, but also that very real desire to, keep our hand on the off switch. All right, to really see all this in action, we are going to dive into the perfect case study. It's a fantastic, fast-paced, animated adventure called The Mitchells vs. the Machines. Now, if you haven't seen it, here's the quick and dirty. It's about this awesome, kind of quirky family, the Mitchells, and their road trip gets seriously sidetracked by a full-on robot apocalypse. And who's leading this robot uprising? Get this. It's Pal, a smartphone assistant who's just been tossed out for the newer, shinier model. Feeling a little too real, right? And that right there is what makes this movie so smart. This quote from The Hollywood Reporter just nails it. The whole constant upgrade culture we live in. The movie uses that as a parallel for something deeply human, that feeling parents get when their kids grow up and are ready to leave the nest. It's not just about tech, it's about us. Okay, so this is all great, but how do we actually watch a movie like this and turn it into a meaningful conversation? Especially if you're a parent or an educator? Well, there's a really simple tool we can use. It helps us look past all the fun chaos, the laser beams, and yes, the evil Furbies, to see what's really going on. It's called the Real versus Real framework. And look, the point here isn't to give the movie a thumbs up or a thumbs down. It's like putting on a special pair of glasses. It gives us a specific way to notice how AI is being shown, what the story is really saying about tech, and what bigger questions that brings up for all of us. So this framework has 4 main parts, or 4 different ways to look at the film. We've got AI literacy, AI ethics, AI fluency, and AI development. Let's just quickly break down what each of those is really asking. First up, AI literacy. Think of this as playing detective. We're asking, how does the movie explain how the AI works? So when Pal takes over all those new robots, what's the movie's behind-the-scenes logic for that? We're just trying to understand the rules of its world, even if it's total fiction. Next is AI ethics. This is where we look for the uh-oh moments, the consequences. In the movie, the tech CEO just casually tosses Pal aside, and, well, that decision has some pretty huge fallout. So we're asking, what are the risks or the harms the film is showing us? It could be anything from losing privacy all the way to, a robot apocalypse. Third, we have AI fluency. This one's all about teamwork. How do the humans and the AI work together? Or not work together? Remember how the Mitchells have to team up with those 2 glitchy robots? This lens has us looking at that relationship. When do they listen to the robots, and when does good old messy human instinct win out? And last but not least, AI development. This is where we get to put on our engineer hats. We're thinking about the choices that were made when the AI was built. What did Powell's creator do or not do that led to her going rogue? Was she designed to have feelings? Could this whole mess have been avoided with a different design? It's all about connecting the design to the outcome. Okay, so let's actually put this framework into practice. And there's no better place to start than with the villain herself. So this is Pal. She's our main antagonist, a digital assistant who gets very dramatically chucked in the trash by her creator for the shiny new model. And let's just say, her reaction is a little extreme.
Okay, now this is where it gets really, really interesting. Let's break down what's real versus what's real here. On the real side, you've got the big Hollywood fantasy, right? As self-aware AI bent on revenge, launching a robot army, it's awesome movie stuff. But look at the real side. The reason she does it, that taps into a very real, very human anxiety. The fear of being left behind, of becoming irrelevant because something new came along. We've all felt a version of that, haven't we?
And that's the key takeaway here. The point of the movie isn't really to make us scared of some robot takeover. It's using that big, crazy idea to make us think about something way more personal.
I mean, you don't even have to take my word for it. The director of the film, Mike Rianda, said it perfectly. He said the movie uses technology to ask what's actually valuable about being human, and the answer is our relationships, our messy, complicated, amazing connections to each other.
And that is the real magic of using a tool like the Real versus Real framework. It helps us steer the conversation, both for ourselves and for our kids. We can move past the simple question of, are the robots going to get us, and start asking much better questions. Questions like, what choices are we making with our technology? And is it bringing us closer together, or is it pushing us further apart?
Because in the end, every story we tell about AI is actually a story we're telling about ourselves. So the next time you're watching a movie with any kind of tech in it, I really encourage you to ask yourself that one question. What is this story really telling me about what it means to be human?